Rice does make you fat or it's healthy? Why I don't eat rice for 17 years and what you can substitute the rice for. 5 things that you can substitute the rice. Don't eat rice before watching this whole video. Hi there, I'm Dr. Corassa, a clinical nutritionist that have saved his own life 17 years ago by a lifestyle medicine called natural hygiene, the science of health. So for 17 years, I have been following a raw food, frugivore diet, primarily fruits and vegetables. And I'm going to tell you to understand the biology behind that we are not granivores and why you shouldn't eat rice. So, why shouldn't we eat rice? What is actually rice? So first of all, rice comes from the family of the grains, because when we say grains, people usually make a huge confusion mixing grains with legumes and seeds. Grains comes from the cereal family. So rice is in the same family as oats, as barley, as quinoa, as amaranth, as buckwheat. But for sure, these are pseudo grains, a little bit different, the quinoa, amaranth, and buckwheat. So the usual grains are rice, oats, barley, corn, and beans. The legumes family is chickpeas, lentils, peas, soy, beans, black beans, for example. And nuts and seeds are flax seeds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, are different families, but they all are a seed to be sprouted. So if you throw a grain on the floor, it will sprout. If you throw a bean on the floor, it will sprout after, of course, the maturation process, right? After sprouting, etc. Second of all, human beings are not granivores. Why? Because birds have huge pouches where they sprout the grains, and they have beaks to pick the small grains like quinoa, like rice, and sprout it and then eat it. So they're classified by our biology as granivores. Human beings have been eating grains only for the last 10,000 years. Since we start cooking it, we start eating grains. Before, we haven't eaten grains whatsoever during 8 million years of evolutions. Human beings look like anthropoid primates. We are built like anthropoid primates. We have their same genetics. 99% of our DNA, it's chimpanzee. So you don't see any chimpanzee eating grains in the wild. Why? Because they're not anatomically, physiologically, and biochemistry equipped like birds, like granivores. So nutritionally speaking also, not just by genetic and biological standards, but nutritional speaking, rice is not the ideal food for us to be consuming. But nutrition is a little bit more complicated than that, because it's always compared to what? If you compare rice to meat or compare rice to junk food, for sure rice is more healthy than the usual dietary pattern of junk food and a lot of animal products. But if you compare rice to our ideal fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, it's not the ideal food. As this scientific article from Loren Cordain suggests, we have a lot of anthropological data that rice and grains were not consumed for millions of years until pretty recently, until the Neolithic period, when we start to understand how to plant grains and to store grains, and how we change from hunter-gatherers, more gatherers than hunters, that's for sure, scientifically speaking, to farmers, and to be stationary instead of nomads, always moving around searching for food. We stay in the same place, just planting and cooking the grains and eating and being able to live the whole year in the same place. So that was a big change, but it was also a big change in terms of nutrition. Why? Because rice is a lot less nutritive than fruits and vegetables. A lot less phytochemicals, no vitamin C whatsoever. It doesn't have a lot of water. You have to cook it. Cooking causes two different changes that we are going to talk in the end of the video. So stay tuned, stay over there. So just to finish up, as Loren Cordain suggests, grains are a double-edged sword. They allow us to grow a huge society and allow everybody to eat. But nutrition-wise, it has been a downfall. It has been a damage to our health. We all heard about anti-nutrients in grains. Why? Because grains don't want to be eaten. Why? Because the plant wants to reproduce, and the grain, the legume, the seed is also its reproductive organ. It wants to go to the floor, sprout, and give a new life to a new plant to produce new grains, legumes, and seeds. So the anti-nutrients are actually formed in the maturation process by the plant to avoid animals from eating it. So the first point of the video, does rice make you fat? No, it doesn't make you fat. Just the person who eats rice gets fat. It's a joke, but anyway, we have to understand that brown rice, for example, 100 grams uncooked, raw, it has 367 calories. Watermelon, 100 grams raw, it has 30 calories. Starch is always way more caloric dense than fruits and vegetables. And even the Greeks back then, 2,000 years ago, without understanding anything about nutrition, used to say that what grows from the ground up, it's way more nutritious than what grows from the ground down. So tubers, roots, things that grow under the soil are usually less nutritious. Why? Because they have a lot of starch. And what you have to understand that rice, although it doesn't grow under the soil, it grows from a small grass plant. So fruits are way more complex in terms of biochemistry, in terms of their own biochemistry, in terms of the health of the plant and the phytonutrients they produce. So starch has less water, less phytonutrients, less antioxidants, less vitamins and minerals compared to fruits and vegetables, always. 100 grams of rice, it's almost 80 grams of carbs. So it's 8 times more than a watermelon in terms of carbs. So people think that they are eating rice, they're not eating the fruit sugar. But the sugar in fruit is way less sugar than in rice, because the only difference is that you feel the sugar in your palate. But rice, it still is sugar, but it's complex carbohydrates, complex sugar. So you just don't feel that sugar. And it's, of course, it's broken down a little bit slower by your stomach, but still, it's a lot of sugar, way more sugar than fruit. And in terms of micronutrients, you can see that even having 360 calories, it doesn't fill up the vitamins and minerals that you should get it in a day. So we can compare to bananas. For example, in 400 grams of bananas, we have less calories than rice, but we have more fiber, we have more vitamins and minerals. So you can compare, for example, to broccoli. To get 340 calories of broccoli, you need a kilo of broccoli. And it provides almost 30 grams of protein. And you can see the vitamins and minerals in 1 kilo of broccoli. In the same amount of calories from the rice, you fill up almost all your needs of vitamins and minerals for a day. And sometimes for vitamin C, for example, you get 12 times more the DRIs, the RDAs, the dietary reference intake. So you end up with a lot more vitamins and minerals, and that's what we want. We don't want too much carbs. We want to to a lot of micronutrients. That is what is lacking in the usual diets. So grains are for birds. They're poor in vitamins and minerals, poor in water, acidifying. They need cooking or germination. They need seasoning or salt. They're so caloric dense. Usual brown rice can actually be part boiled, although it's way better than industrialized food and white rice, for example, but it's not better than fruits and vegetables. It can also contain a lot of heavy metals like arsenic, and due to its caloric density, you end up eating just a little and you end up eating a lot in terms of calories. So you can see here what 500 calories looks like of oil, of cheese, of meat, of potatoes, beans and rice, or of fruits and vegetables. So you can eat a lot more fruits and vegetables and still maintain a lower weight, a lower BMI, so you are more protected from diseases with a lower caloric density. Caloric restriction is the main thing in science to promote a better health and more longevity. So 5 things that you can substitute your rice. Quinoa is a little bit more better than rice, but it's still not the best thing. Fruits, vegetables, way much better. Mushrooms, way much better. Nuts and seeds, way much better. And legumes. If you want something more caloric dense, but you still are not ready to drop everything out and live from fruits and vegetables, you should try more beans, more lentils, more chickpeas instead of rice. It's way much better and nutritionally and way much tastier in my humble opinion. So you want to understand more of the science of health. You want to understand more of fasting. I have 10 books published, but they're all in Portuguese. But the Hygienic Fasting Nature Surgery is already in English on Amazon. So you can order POD, that means the physical book, the printed version, or you can order it also on Kindle version. Also, I attend patients online or in private, but it's in Brazil. But I have 6 online courses and we run retreats always January and July here in my space in Rio de Janeiro. So come to learn the science of raw food and come to learn the science of health. Do you like rice? Do you consume rice usually, or have you excluded completely from your diet? Please comment below, give it a thumbs up, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bells button. You want to know more? Click these videos.